Hi guys, it's Sarah from Sarah's Tarot, and today I am here to do the deck that tag by Simon at the Hermit's Cave, which I literally just watched like 3 VRs to it, and I'm finding so many new channels to subscribe to, and I'm loving it, so I figured it's time to make my VR. So I'm just gonna start right off the bat. And the first prompt is a deck that reflects who I used to be. And for that prompt, I chose the Fairy Tale Tarot by Lisa Hunt because I just feel like when I was younger, I was so infatuated with fairy tales and magic and these princess stories. I would watch Cinderella like every day, I'm pretty sure. Or I had this Cinderella game that I would play every day when I came home after school. But I love the fairy tales and the stories that are in this deck because they remind me of elementary school, pretty much, and being a child. And right now I'm going through a time where there's a lot of uncertainty in my family and extended family, and I am kind of losing that sense of family and trying to really think about my childhood and how great it was. So that's probably influencing that, and not to trauma dump on all you guys, but I have been very focused on thinking about my childhood, and I just loved fairy tales. I'm pretty sure the story is in here of the play that I did in kindergarten and the one that my sister did in kindergarten. There are still fairy tales in here that I'm unsure about, which adds to that like spark of who I used to be continuing into who I am now, which I really enjoy. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the minor arcana are broken up so that three cards tell the story of each fairy tale, if I'm not mistaken. Like this is, oh, maybe not. Maybe that's a different deck. Okay, I may have lied. Never mind, that may be a different deck. But that is if you know what deck that is, by the way, please let me know. Or maybe I just overheard someone say it was this deck and just assumed. But yeah, I love this deck and what this deck represents and how it plays such an integral part in my childhood and in my life right now, because I am in my early 20s and so much is uncertain. And yeah, that's how life is though, and I enjoy it, so no complaints here. But that is the Fairy Tale Tarot by Lisa Hunt. The next prompt is a deck that surprised me the most. And the deck that I chose for this prompt is my beloved Starseeker Tarot, which is by Nikki Ferrata, if I could get it open. And I know I've said this on my channel before, but I love rose petal decks, and this deck is like the best rose petal shuffle. Let's see, because I've done it a lot. But yes, I love the rose petal shuffle. I love this deck because I actually like how dark the cards feel. Like these two in particular feel very dark. I mean, there's white backing up this one. But this deck surprised me because I did not think that I would have the deep connection to it that I do. And going through this deck actually makes me want to use it more. But this is my Virgo season deck, so I literally have to wait, 2.5 weeks until I can use it. It's always my daily draw in Virgo season. I don't know why this deck just screams Virgo to me. But I love this deck I'm looking at the prompt again because I forget the deck that surprised me the most. Yes, why else would this deck surprise me? I love the feel of it. I think this was the deck that made me fall in love with rose petal decks, actually. And I really want to purchase or pre-order A Long Way Home. And I really want the rose petal version of that one too. So, but this deck is just beautiful. And I love the imagery. I know she's creating a second tarot deck and she has an oracle deck. The oracle deck is insane. And the two of them together give me the best readings. I'm actually kind of scared for Virgo season. But that's when I start school. That's when I need to get back into the groove of things so I can graduate. So be it. So that is the Starseeker Tarot. The beautiful, beautiful Starseeker Tarot. The next prompt is a deck that intimidates me. And I chose the Couture Tarot for this prompt because I bought this deck and haven't even touched it. I don't think I've shuffled it yet. Nope. But this is the guidebook. It looks nice. It looks like it has keywords. Oh, and then it has the Decan as the ruler. Oh wait, that's so cool. See, this is what happens when you look at a deck you've never looked at on camera. Ooh, that's my Decan. My birth, whatever. Mental chaos. Yeah, that sounds about right. Overthinking. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, I'm gonna stop. But that is the Couture Tarot guidebook. This is the deck. It is another collage deck. I'm not going to go through all the cards. The backs are a little plain. Oh my god. I was going to say lane. And I was like, no, that sounds like lame. What's the word I'm thinking of? Plain. The backs are a little bit plain, which I think adds to the intimidation factor. Because if you aren't looking at something like beautifully opening and inspiring and like, I'm going to use Ravneet's example, one of her prompts. If it's not like a portal to another world, like I may be less inclined to use it. So, oh, these two cards were out of order. That's okay. But this deck intimidates me because the collage is so different, I feel like, from any collage deck that I have. Because the collage deck I use the most would be probably, I would say the Sistine Tarot or the Lioness Oracle Tarot. And those, maybe the Lioness Oracle Tarot is similar to the Couture Tarot. But I feel like those collages are a little bit different. And this one is just on a completely different level. So looking at this deck, maybe I'll use this in Virgo season also, or I'll start using this in August because I do enjoy it. I've never looked through it. I was waiting to go on camera so that I could look through it. So maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe I'll do a flip through of this deck. If you would be interested in helping me see how I feel about this deck, let me know. And by helping me, I mean by watching the video. Or if you want to see a walkthrough of it. I'm just rambling. Okay, so that is the Couture Tarot. Prompt number 4 is a deck that is pure comfort. And I did do a walkthrough of this deck, but it's the Stardrop Spirits Tarot, which is the deck that is inspired by Stardew Valley. And this deck is pure comfort because that game is one of my favorite games. It's like the only, I guess, ongoing like story video game that I play. And I rarely have time to play it. which I should do over the summer because I'm not going to have time during the fall or the spring. But this deck is comfort because I love the game. I'm part of a group on Facebook that just talks about memes about the game and mods and all the things you can do, and it's just so funny. It's just such a intricate story that you can create, and oh my gosh, it's so funny. If you don't play Stardew Valley and you have Steam, I recommend downloading it. It's great. Also Peak, because if my boyfriend has been making me watch videos of people playing Peak, and that game looks so much fun. Looks like so much fun. Oh my gosh. I just love games. Games are a comfort thing, and that's why I chose the Stardrop Spirits Tarot as my comfort deck. Prompt number 5 is a deck that gives you the best readings. And the deck that I chose for this is my Sasori Beto Tarot, which this is the 6th edition. I got this in 2020. This was the 3rd tarot deck I ever got. And my best friend spilled water on it, so she doesn't fit in the box very well, but that's okay. But yeah, this deck gives me the greatest readings. And I think part of that is because in the guidebook, you can see the entries aren't too long, but they all tell a story, or they all seem to tell a story. Like, if we can find the 8 of Cups, I know that card is a story, but Stasia just seems to put all of her knowledge and effort and creativity and everything into the guidebook, even though it's so short and sweet, that this deck just, even without using the guidebook, it gives the best readings. Because it's so representative of the traditional RWS, but just has more like symbology, it feels like. So let's see if we can find the 8 of Cups. Yep. So the 8 of Cups, I know the story is about how when she gets upset or frustrated or needs a change, she cuts her hair, and that's like a reset. And I just love that for the 8 of Cups. And that's what this image is representing. So I love this deck. It gives fantastic readings. I've had this deck for so long. Not so long compared to other people, but in my practice, this is like the indie deck that I've had the longest. This is my first and oldest indie deck. Alright, so prompt number 6 is a deck that's too pretty to use, but I still love it. And that is my first edition Botan Tarot. Sorry, I have a bug bite and I'm needing to scratch it because I keep going outside and getting eaten alive. But yes, this is my Botan Tarot. This is the simple guide, and I have the full zine in my desk. But these cards are absolutely beautiful. These are the backs. This is in gold. I'm gonna shuffle them because I have to. Beautiful. Alright, so this deck is absolutely gorgeous. And that's about it. I'm sure I've done great readings with it. I know I've used it before. But it's just so pretty. And so special. And it was so expensive. And I don't want to use it. It's the second most expensive deck I have. But by like half the price. So, oh well. I love the representation in this deck. The representation of the elements in this deck. and how they have an animal with them. I love decks that do that. Especially, and of course, when the animal that is in the card matches the suit that it's in. Like bunnies and deer for pentacles. There was a fish, a water dragon, and a snake for coins. For cups, sorry. Like, look at this moon card. And tell me that you wouldn't want to just frame it. But yeah, this deck is absolutely stunning. Birds. Whatever that is. Yeah. Great, great deck that I am too scared to use because it is too pretty. And I love the color palette. I love the sound it makes. Right? We all love when a deck makes a good like, shuffling sound. This deck I have to keep upside down though, because if not, it'll fall out. See, that's a drawer that I don't like. If it was the other way, it would be better. So the next prompt is a deck that made me fall in love with tarot again. And for me, I have a long story-ish. But for me, that's my Tarot of Aphrodite. And I forget when I got this deck. I think she's in order. Yeah. She's in order because I was dealing with someone who was draining me and asking me the most repetitive questions, and I've forgotten the whole situation because I don't really care anymore. But I had to put this deck back in order because it was just, it couldn't handle it anymore, and this was the deck I was using. So the Aphrodite Tarot made me fall, or the Tarot of Aphrodite made me fall in love with tarot again because it really showed me that that tarot didn't need to be so, and how do I want to say this? It doesn't need to be so based on a system when there's so much artistic creativity, freedom, whatever in the world. And you can literally make a tarot deck for any subject that you like. And I'm pretty sure that's been proven by artists all over the world. So seeing this deck full, oh, I should have said nudity warning, but there's some nudity in this deck. What was I saying? This deck made me fall in love with tarot again because it shows that decks can be anything, and you can make a deck based on whatever subject you want, and artists have shown that all over the world. Yes, I know I just said that. I forget what I said after though. But this deck shows that magic of like real art. I'm not good with art styles, I'm sorry, I'm a scientist. But this deck does a great job of showing real art portrayed through tarot decks. So instead of creating art for a deck, the art was created and then a deck was created, if that makes sense. And I like when decks do that. I like when decks can take images and create that system. Well, I think it's also very impressive if you create all the artwork for a deck. If you do that, like, hats off to you. That's my little ramble about that. The next prompt is a deck that a deck that I wish more people talked about. And I've shown this on my channel and I don't feel like taking it out of the box, but it's the Cirque de Tarot. And I think it's funny because I've seen like 2 or 3 people talk about it since I wrote it down as my prompt answer. So that happened, and a lot of people have been talking about it, but I feel like, or more people have been talking about it, but I feel like still this deck needs more attention than it's getting because it's so expressive and immersive, and Lisa Robertson and Josh Tufts do an insane job at putting this deck together. So this RWS inspired deck should be talked about more. The next prompt, I actually changed my answer as soon as I sat down. But the next prompt is the deck that feels like there's a secret between us. And I chose my Fountain Tarot. And that is because this deck knows a lot of shit that's happened. This deck, oh my gosh. Hold on. I love the backs. This deck I used when I was going through all my mania and psychosis and all of that crap like 3 years ago at age 19? Yeah, it was great. When I was a sophomore in college and I was manic running around the student center getting as many plastic utensils as I could. Like, I don't know what was wrong with me, but something was. And I'm better now. I haven't done that in 3 years. I think it's okay. Anyway, this deck has a secret. There's a secret between us because she knows a lot of shit that's happened. She knows I did every reading with this deck. I have to find that notebook, but I literally would do everything with this deck. Every reading I would pull with these cards. I actually had reversals in this deck. And maybe I'll do that again. I'm so conflicted as to whether or not I should read with reversals. And that's a rant maybe I'll go on another time when I can form my thoughts. But this deck is just great. I love the people in it because they feel like they're keeping your secret. Yeah, and I think the Nine of Coins is a great card to end on because she definitely was a key representation of me in that time with other things going on. So, that is the Fountain Tarot, which I feel like a lot of people don't talk about either, and a lot of people don't have or don't take out as much. So if you have the Fountain Tarot, I inspire you to go do a reading with it. Wow, I'm very interactive in this video. The deck that defines my tarot practice right now, I had to choose the deck that I am doing my daily reading with. And for Leo season 2025, that is the Land of Stories Tarot. Maybe this is the one that every 3... Hold on. No, it's not this one. I'm not sure. Either way, this is the Land of Stories Tarot. This deck is like cute, cartoony fairy tales. Or like fairy tale people or stories. People who... I feel like it's inspired by fairy tales, but it's also just like pretty cartoon people, princessy, like maiden, knight. See, like this is inspired by Beauty and the Beast, and this is inspired by The Little Mermaid. So it's like fairy tale like that, but not true, telling the stories. But you can make inferences if you're doing a reading with it. So that's why I feel like this deck is really good for Leo season, because it's bold and bright, and it's portraying how you feel and not being so stubborn. Like, it's not limited artwork. It's very expressive, and you can go off of what the card is saying. And I hate to be biased in my description of Leos, but all the Leos in my life are some of the most stubborn people I know, in the most loving way I can say that. And I'm a Leo moon. I am right there with you. So I know it's my Leo moon that makes me as stubborn as I am, and my Aries rising that adds that spice of get out of my way. It's great. So that is the Land of Stories Tarot, which defines my practice right now because we are in Leo season. And I've been doing this as my daily draw with the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, and I do 2 cards and then the Oracle in the middle. So having that zodiological keyword and association and then using this deck, I just feel like it's been a great combination. So that is the Land of Stories Tarot. The last 2 prompts, a deck that pulls me out of a rut. The Lonely Dreamer Tarot. This is the 2nd edition. And I was just watching someone's video who also showed this deck, or was just talking about this deck, and how, ooh, that was cool, and how the elements feel like they're kind of copied and pasted on, which I was curious, so I'm actually happy that I have this deck out, which I guess I kind of agree. You have like this beautiful, what looks like painted artwork, and then it kind of looks like they're just put on and like faded in. So I don't know, that's not the point though. The point is that this deck pulls me out of a rut because of the imagery, and it's so colorful and like dark at the same time. It's like muddy in the best way possible, and I love it. And it's able to pull me out of the rut because I feel like all of these people are also feeling the way that you feel. So they're validating how you feel while also wanting to help you grow and get better, or get to a better headspace. I'm starting to realize that I really like decks with people in them, which is funny. Oh no, my computer turned off. Good thing I know the last prompt. So this deck pulls me out of a rut just because it's beautiful, and the people are there to help you. Oh no, cards everywhere. Alright, so that is the Lonely Dreamer Tarot, a deck that pulls me out of a rut. And then the last prompt is a deck that waits patiently. And I went to pull this deck out from where it used to be on my shelf, because it used to be on the top shelf, right in the center, in the back, waiting. But then I had to move it because I got a tea set. Long story. But that is my Tarot of the Drowning World, and I fucking love this deck. I fucking don't like getting it out of the box. Alright. This is the Tarot of the Drowning World. Oh, and it's Marseille. I always forget that. But this deck just waits and waits until I'm ready to use it. And I think that part of the reason why I haven't been using it is because it's a Marseille deck. And I forget that. But I don't think that's so, like, different. I should really break out this deck. This deck is stunning. I love how weird it is. I love the flowers. I love the pumpkins. I just love everything about it. And I just haven't used it because it also intimidates me. And it's also difficult to shuffle, I believe. Well, it's just big. Or long, I mean. See, that's what happens when I try and shuffle the deck. Like that, except I'm pretty sure I just did that upside down. Yeah, this deck, not easy to shuffle. And I just shuffled in the reversals. I did do it right the first time. I'm literally so stupid. Anyway, I'm gonna go through that and fix that. So that this deck waits patiently, and it's gonna wait even more patiently as I go through it and fix it, apparently. So that is my response to Simon at the Hermit's Cave with the Deck That tag. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was kind of on and off entertaining, probably. I make a lot of random commentary, and I'm really thirsty right now. So I will see you soon, and hopefully a more talkative and rambly video.